Today on Off Topic with Jason and Amanda, we talk about marriage and, at the big 1-0, all of the things that usually annoy people, but you love me more. Okay, I love you more. And welcome to Off Topic with Jason and Amanda. We're coming to you exclusively on Patriot.tv, which we really appreciate. We appreciate our family here at the network. They've done so much to allow us this opportunity to talk with you, to talk with each other. Who knew that Patriot.tv would be our marriage counseling? So we appreciate you being here. So we asked it, a lot of people are afraid to say this, but if you like our content, then, support our advertisers and support the network and, go check out some of the other programs. They're way more serious than ours, but maybe you accidentally got into ours and you're going, what is this? And I'm going, it's not serious. Run away. But it's okay if you're here for that because that's what we want. And in other news, I stink. So we just figured that out before the show. I have body odor now. I know you're like, what? You're going to talk about that? Yeah. So apparently I stink now, which is a new thing. And I'm trying to figure out why. And it's because we switched to a crunchy-ish deodorant. It's not crystals. It's not rocks. But it is aluminum free, which also means that you stink. You smell like a German in, Frankfurt in the summer.
Never been to Germany.
I know you have superpowers
anywhere.
from being pregnant because that's how it happens. You get bit by a radioactive spider. But so you have hyper smell now.
Yes.
Like Daredevil, right? Or whatever.
Sure.
I'm not sure.
We'll go with that.
I'm mixing them. I don't know if Spider-Man has heightened sense of smell. I don't know if it's just your spidey sense was like, you stink. Or if it was the heightened sense of smell. But it made me think about the fact that, one, it's truly wonderful to be in a relationship where you can have that conversation and no one is offended. You're just like, hey, you stink. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, what's that all about? I'm like, I don't know. Woman pause? I'm not sure if there's a men version of that. So I'm just went the opposite. So. But yeah, I don't, it could be anything, right? Could be, you just stink. But
apparently all of the animals like it.
Yeah, the animals like it, which is weird. It's not like my armpits attacked by dogs.
Didn't you wake up with our giant dog sniffing your armpits?
Yes, like just so happy. Hey, I'm like, what are you doing? And his head is so big. It's like a little mako shark. Like, what are you doing, land shark? He's all, I'm just smelling your armpit, Dad. Is that weird? You won't let me near any other area that I would usually communicate with, and you never come near mine. So, such a one-sided relationship, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
But I'm like, hey, we're at this point in our relationship. We just had an anniversary. 10 years together, 9 years marriage, right? Which, it's not a big, huge deal, right? But that's a long time to be with somebody. That's a long time I've always said that the things that will draw you together are both the things that you mutually love, which is great, but those things change. The things you hate, they tend to stay the same throughout life. So if you bond over many of those things, like why are they writing a check? You're in the express line. You're like, me too. Let's date. You know what I mean? Like that's, and then you go on, and our relationship is built on mutual hatred for idiocy. No, it's there's so many things. But I thought, hey, I stink, and you don't fit in pants right now, and neither of us are afraid to say that to the other person. I just popped that one in there, but if you're gonna say I stink, no, I just mean that you and I are comfortable being able, because I know it. I'm the one walking around smelling it. Like, yeah, what's going on?
I'm the one walking around with pants that don't fit. So
you're not wearing pants. That's the point.
I know, because
that's how I got to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Even when your sweatpants are like, give me a break.
I know.
So it's like your maternity sweatpants are like, we weren't built for this. We were
I
tested.
don't have maternity sweatpants. I don't think that's a thing.
They were tested on a full Asian woman, not a half Asian woman. That's the problem. They were like, "Oh, we didn't accommodate that French part of you. We thought it would give up." So it's just
Wow.
so we so it's got me thinking. Like, there's so many things in our relationship that we communicate well, we communicate better. Would you say? I mean, this is about the point where I mean, if you're fighting at 10 years, from my opinion, you're not listening. That's just like, there are a lot of the things that we don't fight nearly as much as we did early in our relation. Not that we fought a lot, but I mean, I'm saying in comparison, I would say we just don't fight anymore. There's no reason to fight.
I think we're used to each other's stubbornness.
Yeah, but even when usually a lot of the fight comes from you're angry or I'm angry and the other person doesn't like that the other person is angry. Whereas as an adult who's been together, if you're angry at me, either I immediately apologize because I know I did something wrong, which is every time. Or in a hypothetical situation, I just leave you alone and, because I didn't do anything wrong and you're just upset. That's never the case. I always did something
Shove
wrong.
some cookies under the door.
Right, but if I were to treat it, it's kind of the same application, same treatment plan, triage it the same way, and just like I slip cookies under the door and leave you alone, under the always false assumption that I didn't do anything, assumption that I did do something, right? So that works. If you're confused, so am I. Think about how I feel. But there's a lot of tropes about marriage, right? And so I was pulling up, I wanted to figure out what are things that people usually are at this point at 10 years where they're just going like, hey, we're at the 10 anniversary. What's paper? Our paper's like 20 years. Paper must have been worth something at some point. I love that because these anniversaries are all built around something, whatever. You don't reach gold till like 50 years. I'm wondering if that comes from any serious history. If some king was like, you've been you've been married for 50 years. You guys are 55 years old. That's incredible. Middle Ages, What's up?
Oh, 10th is actually aluminum.
Yeah, it's aluminum.
Can we make each other tinfoil hats?
But how will all the government raise control me if I'm wearing that?
That's my gift to you.
I don't want control. I don't want to take responsibility for my actions. So what do I look like? A responsible adult? At what point have you ever thought that was the case?
Never.
That hurts a little. So I wanted to go through some of the stuff that I guess other people have problems with, not our problems.
Okay.
OPP, other people's problems.
Did you search for?
Yeah. The top 10 things that people at 10 years consider to be like, why don't you sit down for a minute? Let's have a talk.
All right. I mean, technically, this is cheating because we're not at 10 years of marriage.
Right. But we've been together 10 years. So I would say, and 9 years of marriage. So I would sit here and say, that's pretty good. Like we're close enough. So some of the stuff just didn't, and I started thinking, well, I don't know if this applies to us. So so it says household chores and balance. The description is one partner feels they're doing more of the housework, leading to frustration and resentment. Example: I always end up doing the dishes while you relax on the couch. Because she's from Long Island. And it's a woman doing the dishes because I'm sexist. So,
which is funny because you did the dishes.
Well, right, because you think it's disgusting.
I don't like touching dirty dishes.
Right. So I do the dishes, which I'm okay with. Or I try to hide when your dad's here so he'll do them. Because your mom doesn't do them. Well, your mom does occasionally if she's here and they have dinner, but much rarer. She makes a big deal out of it. So your dad will do them if I hide long enough sometimes. But if it's us, which is 99% of the time, it's me, and I'm okay with that. You do the laundry because I suck at it. So
you were banned from the laundry room,
right? Which because
you shall not pass.
I have one method of doing laundry. It's everything in the washer, which worked for me for a decade of adulthood until you came along and changed my laundry world. So, but we don't have a lot of, I mean, like whenever we have frustration about the state of our house, it's a mutual disdain, not for each other, but for for the item. Like,
we just make a
right. Like our bathroom.
everybody cleans up today
Right.
party.
But like we can always tell. And for us, it's not grossness. It's stuff because we have lots of little people. And little people put little things in little places.
And then the little dog chews on the little things that the little people
It makes
put
little piles
places.
of little stinky poop,
Yeah.
and that the little kids then have to clean up with little bags. Yeah, so it's a thing, and so I think that I guess that there's always a frustration with. I think a lot of it comes from that false idea of commercials, sitcoms, Instagram accounts that your house is put. Like we have one corridor that's like clean most of the time. And conveniently, it's where the sunlight is. So that's where I shoot most of the pictures of Tempest or anybody, anything. Like this is clean. Everything else is like everyone else's house. Stuff everywhere. It's like a tidal wave that you push back every now and then, right? And you get this, and you see the beach again, and you're like, oh my God, there's the beach, and then it crushes you. And your spirits, but I'm not depressed, but it's one of those things where you go, we're not mad at each other for it. There's no, I don't like come in, why didn't you clean the toothbrush holder? That's your job this week, right? Big blowout fight over it, right? You didn't use the shoe trees properly. I don't see any argument like when you have this many kids, it's kind of like somebody threw up. Like, or
Who's gonna get it this time?
yeah, was it human or dog? Dog. Okay, well, just clean that up. Don't have to do any follow up on that. It's usually they eat grass. That's my diagnosis. If it follows 3 or 4 times, we'll do something. But outside of that, it's like, we don't fight about it. So we got a pretty good balance going on in our household chores. I always end up doing. So communication habits. Ooh. Differences in communication styles can become irritating over time, such as one partner interrupting or not listening fully. Example, you never let me finish my sentence. Do we have that problem?
I don't think so.
I don't think that. Sorry.
You're such a jerk.
I don't think. No, I'm always interested in what you have to say.
You're like, oh my gosh, you're talking.
Like I pulled the cord just right. And a different phrase came out. Yeah, I mean, no, it's just, no, I mean, I don't think we fight. Again, so I don't want to use the word fight. We don't debate or have discussions where your point is irrelevant or mine is.
Right.
I mean, if they are irrelevant, meaning it's based in gender or, certain things, then we admit it ahead of time. Like I'm not the one that's pregnant, but I do think you should be walking around. Right? You know what I mean? I've never been pregnant. I don't know, but I've been around a pregnant lady 4 times, and every time she was walking around, I kind of feel like you should get up and walk around. You're like, what would you know? Right? Shut up. But but I listen to you, and you're like, no, I don't feel like walking around. I'm like, okay. Let me check with that friend that used to be pregnant that I know. Hey, honey, did you walk around during your other pregnancies? Yes, shut up. Listen, I just talked to that other lady, and she's annoyed at me for asking again, but yes. No, I mean, but, I listen to you. I'd like to think I do, and if I don't, I'll pre-qualify if I really feel like I don't have a ground to stand on, right? I don't have a uterus, so this conversation's going to be one-sided. Outside of that, I think.
Do you think uteruses talk back? Is that why it's one-sided?
Again, no idea. Haven't had a conversation with one. We're going to have a little meeting coming up that next week, I think. And I would be able to ask, do you use the word utilize? I'm just curious. A lot of people use that word a lot. They utilize that
Overused
word.
and
So I'm curious
underutilized.
if the uterus utilizes that word.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think they talk. That would be super weird. I'm so over that conversation. It just creeps me out to know I'm out of that pool. As soon as the baby comes out, you're like, wait, it's still attached. Just walk with me, lady. I'm watching.
We just started, and I'm already almost done with my tea.
I'm
That's
sorry.
sad.
So I listen to you and I hear you. No, so it's. I don't think we have this problem. So I'm happy about that. That's good. We seem to have comms down pretty good. I don't have to explain what comms means.
I get it. I know what that means.
Not everyone would. Okay, leaving things around. Moving into dangerous territory. Really, at number 3. Description: one partner consistently leaves items. Why did I say that so weird? It's not like Kamala Harris. One partner consistently leaves items like clothes, shoes, or dishes lying around, which annoys the other. Example: why do you always leave your socks on the floor? Well, first of all, we do have that problem.
Yeah, we
Both
both
of
do
us.
it.
And you know what? We both call each other out for it. And you know what we do at the same time? Help each other out. We needle each other a bit, depending on the item. I think it just depends.
Yeah.
And we're always ready.
When you had your little eye drop things all the time
Right
after you
I
had
my
your
LASIK.
surgery,
Yeah.
our oldest would get so mad at you when you would leave them around. Do you remember that?
Yep. If
She would come up,
it's a
"Dad,
choking hazard.
this is a choking hazard for the baby. You need to stop leaving these around."
She was right. What can I say? The kid was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I don't think we both. So we have the problem, but I don't think it impacts our marriage in a negative. Like it isn't a build-up thing. We have a clutter problem in our house sometimes, and that is an explosive point for me.
I
reach
think
an
it's
anxiety.
mostly one, the kids don't like to put their things back where they belong. We need to work on that. But 2, when it comes to us, it's, oh, I don't want the kids getting into this, so I'm going to put it on this higher surface. And then it never gets put in the right spot, which is probably why our kids also do that.
Well, I mean, it's a normal thing to sit there and just when you have little kids, no matter how hard you try to get them to put stuff away, you make a game out of it, you encourage it. It's natural because all kids have a version of ADD. It's called short attention span.
Yep.
Right. And it's something else captures their attention and initially try to gently steer them back to it. But after about 3 stations, you're like, now we got to rein it in. But again, that's communication with our kids, not with each other. I think we communicate pretty well with each other. And if we call each other out for it, usually the other person is pretty good about, as long as it's me, about accepting their, yeah, you're right. I left my stuff lying around. I'll clean it up.
Well, and when we both get sick of seeing something, we're just like, okay, we're going to tackle this today. Just get it over with. Just do it.
One of the big things that I will say that because it's not in here, so I'm going to put it out there right now on number 3, which is that I enjoy leaving empty boxes to remind me to go get things. You don't understand that because you look in the
I do understand.
You look inside and you think that should be full of cookies. And I'm thinking that's a reminder to go get cookies, which can lead to some conflict.
Yeah, when I think there's cookies and there's not.
Right. Which is you not understanding my system. So that feels like a personal problem on your part, not a marriage problem.
Mm-hmm.
Different sleeping habits. Conflicts arise from different sleep schedules, snoring, or taking up too much space in bed. Example, I can't sleep with you snoring all night. Ooh. We don't have that problem. So we have a big bed because I'm oversized. I'm a family share M&Ms. Okay. I am not the king size. I am family share size. So Yeah, I take up way too much space, but neither of us are big on the whole. I used to snore a lot worse, and then I changed how I sleep.
Yeah.
So I lay with my face in a pillow.
You just smother yourself instead.
Yeah, I've died a couple times, but you get sleep, which is how I look at things. We also co-sleep, and that's probably more of an issue,
Yeah.
right? We've
think
both
she
woken up
takes
at the
up more
same time
room
with a
than-
baby on our head, and we sleep on opposite sides of the bed. And I don't know how that's possible.
Toes in your hair, fingers in mine. She's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, and just like he's trying to push us apart. Our baby is trying to keep us away from each other. No, but when we, I don't know. I mean, we cuddle well, so it's not an issue. Like I've never had a sleeping habit issue with you. You don't like
Well,
snore.
or like, I think it's referring to people like getting in bed at different times.
Well, we get into bed at the same time just because we may fall asleep at different times. We tend to wake up at the same time. It's just one of us may have, but I have a lot of issues sleep. So and we were just talking about that, the difference between how you know if I'm asleep versus, because you won't wake me if I'm sleeping, but you know that I don't really sleep all that often.
Right.
So, which is a really awesome compromise. And I've always said I appreciate that when I need sleep. I know when you need sleep as well, but like you really know when when my body is just like, no, we're done. And you tend to give me that space to go and catch up on rest because it's very rare that I actually sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as anything outside of that, I mean, I run hot, you run a bit cooler, but I don't think we've ever, like, we don't have a blanket issue. We use different blankets. Is that weird? I like a weighted blanket.
I can't use a weighted blanket.
Yeah. I like to feel like God is gently reassuring my body and pushing down on me while I'm sleeping. Like, I got you, bro. Thank you. No, I think of God as like my dad. I don't mind that. I don't think it's disrespectful to think that. I think it's a positive thing. So I'm just kind of like a little reassuring, like, hey, I'm here. That, or, I'm on Mars. Slightly more gravity. Is Mars slightly more gravity or less gravity? Wait, I don't know. There's one planet in our system with slightly more gravity. That's it. I'm just heavier. I'm getting pushed into our bed. So selective hearing. One partner accuses the other of ignoring them or only hearing what they want to hear. There's a difference there.
Yeah.
You never seem to hear me when I ask for help, but you hear the TV just fine. That's the example. Well, we don't have a TV.
Yeah.
So I never listen to that. I don't think we have an issue. So we don't have that. Okay, so here's our issue. Our house is long, not tall.
Yeah.
So oftentimes one person will start talking to the other person across, like to get like, I need something. And the other person is kind of like responding. And usually the response is, I can't hear you because I'm doing something. And the other person will think they are acknowledging it. So they'll repeat it, or they're saying whatever, and we'll reach an octave where it sounds like we're yelling at each other, when in reality, we're definitely not yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And we're very quick to fix that, like to immediately say, not yelling, didn't know you couldn't hear me. And that's another thing about time. I think that both of us are a lot less quick to take things personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you hear that, it's a lot easier to bite back your annoyance because yeah, I know they didn't mean to yell at me. If they're saying it to me at this point, like, it's not just like I'm consistently finding this one thing to needle you with over time, just to see if I can drive you insane. I'm gonna yell at you from across the house, and then every time be like, "What? I didn't know." No, but I mean, we do it to each other. So I think
Right.
and again, I think it all comes back down to us understanding that. But I don't tune you out. You don't tune me. We'll know if you don't. You have to recognize if there's a difference between someone being in they were reading something, and then you stop and wait for them or whatever, and someone, let's say, I don't know, hypothetically, being in the middle of a conversation with you and then just starting a completely different text conversation with someone else on the phone and just completely ignoring you. And then you just walk out of the room and
They don't even notice.
they don't even notice. That never happens. to anyone I know. Definitely never to me. You don't do that to me. It's very kind. We have so many other visitors. So money management differences. We don't have that. Disagreements over spending habits, saving, or budgeting can be significant source of frustration. Example: why do you keep buying expensive gadgets we don't need?
No, we always, I mean, if there's going to be an expensive
We talk about
purchase,
everything,
we talk about it. Yeah.
and expensive is relative.
Yeah.
Like when it's time to buy the homeschool materials, we sit down and budget out for it.
Yeah.
We sort of do a budget for food in the beginning of the month, but it's slightly flexible. I mean, because we stay within the budget, but at the same time, if you can, you're not trying to. You're doing what you can, but at the same time, we acknowledge there's certain limitations.
Yeah.
We're getting better at that. Budgeting is hard because it's so life happens, and you don't want to always set yourself up for failure. So I think it's good to be honest about it, and sometimes it's good to yank the belt real tight just to see what you didn't need, and we've always been able to do that and be a team about that. And neither of us have. It's very funny. I tell people I have expensive taste, but I can't afford it. So I know that. So very rarely, if we ever do anything, we save up for it and do something very nice, because we'd rather do that than a bunch of moderately nice things over time.
Right.
And then secondly, we can find something on super sale, whatever. I don't want to knock off. I like the item, but we don't. That's why we don't have anything. That's why I don't have anything. I have like one pair of jeans. I ripped my other pair of jeans. It finally reached the point where I can't. The knee is gone. And so I'm now down to one pair. I'm just not into material. And that sounds so crunchy. I just mean, there are things that other people spend money on. I know people that have a collection of shoes. That's your thing. That's your thing. But I don't. And so to me, I have shoes.
If you had a collection of shoes, it would be all the same shoe.
Yes. Because I know it works.
Yeah. And not even like different colors. You would pick black.
I've been wearing the same dress shoes for 20 years.
Not literally the same pair.
No, but every year I go and buy a new pair.
Yeah.
I'm not paid by them, so I'm not going to tell you who they are.
Also, then you'll buy them and then they won't have them.
Yeah, I know, right? But no, I mean, I have to like order them from somewhere else now. But the point is that I get them because they work.
Yeah.
Why would I switch shoes suddenly? They work.
Yeah, you tried to get another pair once.
Yeah, that was
you
a mistake.
Were very disappointed.
I think I wore them once. Remember how sad I was?
Yeah.
I was like slipping all over the place. Like, why would somebody wear this? I feel like I'm breakdancing and I haven't moved my legs. This is like calling for a hip injury.
Yeah.
It might have been the start of the end. I never know. Anyway, I was footloose. Literally. So I don't think we have that problem. But I think that...
No, I mean, and if it's something like shoes that I know you need and you're like, but I don't want to spend that much money, I just make you do it.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I tend to... What's your thing? Your thing is bags. You like nice bags. You're not like
Yeah,
super
but we
hoity-toity.
don't go anywhere. So.
Right, yeah, but you don't like couture, like, not with frilly stuff on it, but you like nicer bags that you can depend on. So I try to get, if we have the ability on a birthday or something, which I always give you like 6 months in advance. But I think that it's just that you and I have always been, what's the bottom line? What are we shooting for? And then we just work towards it. And, okay, so it helps that we don't have problems in the sense that neither of us have a drug habit. Neither of us have a really expensive hobby. Or this is it. Neither of us have a, oh gosh, thank goodness, gambling addiction, or even a desire to gamble. Like we don't go to Vegas every 6 months and go below $20,000. And I'm not knocking if that's, I don't understand it. We don't have a drug habit. You know, those are things that oftentimes can, I think, insert themselves into a marriage. And thankfully not ours, but I'm saying that, and it requires a lot to counterbalance that because it can hide a lot of the damage that's being done to the finances until it's too late. So it's two things you have to confront: the budget issue as well as the vice. And I could see where that could be a huge I could see how that could end relationships. I've heard stories. I have friends who, you know, their wives were secretly running up $100,000 in credit card debt, you know, when they didn't have anything, or, you know, were a husband who was had a gambling problem, you know, and was going to the casino every single paycheck,
Right.
and then borrowing money from the American Express to cover it and all that stuff, and would get lucky every now and then, that sort of thing. And you know, that obviously leads to foundational issues, because that isn't an income problem, that's an outcome problem. It's a spending problem, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we just talk about stuff. We've lamented some of our purchases. You know, we've bought things and then later on been like, oh, that was dumb. But it's, you know, like I can think of a couple of like stupid things. Like we didn't measure the washer and dryer space in the place we were moving to, made a big deal, lost so much, you know, thousands of dollars. And then you turn around and go, oh, it doesn't even fit.
Yep.
That's frustrating. So, yeah. I don't even want to bring up number 7, but I will. In-law relations.
We can skip that.
Tensions with or differing selective hearing. Tensions with or differing opinions about how to interact with in-laws can become a sore point. Do we really need to spend every holiday with your family? That's the example. I am going to say this. If you have a problem with your in-laws, it is 50% you, it's 50% them, and it's 50% your spouse. Any problems that we haven't, that you would have with my parents would be the result of a combination of multiple factors, primarily established by myself and my parents, that has nothing to do with you, and vice versa. I think that can be lost on people, and I know that it's. I know you're like, wait, are you going to talk about? I don't want to talk about specific problems that people have. I'm just saying in general. I can say that I can see how that becomes a sore point. But however, if you remain a team without malice, you know what I mean. Like I don't. If I get upset with your parents, you get upset with mine. I'm not going to get into anything. I'm just saying if we were to. As long as we understand that the end outcome that we're seeking is a mutually agreed upon outcome, and as long as we agree to bite back that malice that can oftentimes corrupt a message, because you're not really fighting about something when you're talking about in-laws. What you're fighting about is a communication problem. How someone feels, how someone might interpret statements or actions, so forth and so on. And I think as long as everyone can say, hey, we're on the same team, you're looking out for me, looking out for you, it doesn't mean we can fix it. What are we going to do? Go to a family party and scream at someone because they screamed at you? Or just maybe leave the party, not make a big deal out of it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's a totally made up example, but you get my point. It's just like, hey, there's ways around it, because you don't get to pick your family.
I would agree with you for the most part, but sometimes people just have relatives who are jerks.
That's also true. No, I'm not. I wanted to get the
I'm
general out of the
specifically
way.
thinking of
My parents?
no.
That's
Someone,
okay.
a friend of ours that was telling us
I'm
a
adopted.
story about how basically the grandparents were bullying the kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, now there's a
And then
different
that
thing. That's a
kind of
parenting
ended
thing.
the relationship. there. But
Yeah, but I wouldn't consider that an in-law thing. That's just a parenting thing where you reached a boundary with someone. So I agree with you on that statement, but I'm talking about, like, I guess their example is again about spending time with your in-laws,
Right,
about
right.
having them around. And it's like it's hard to introduce new families, but the idea is that you have to look at your other half and say, "Hey, let's embrace this as a family. We're going to create our own customs and we have the right." I think one of the big things for us was understanding that we needed to be able to express our agency and do so with the right amount of tenderness, but also with firmness and the understanding that they may not get it, and that's okay, because they're going to eventually come around. And it's not about holding the kids hostage or keeping this. It's about saying, hey, we have our own unique set of boundaries. You may not remember the ones you created when I was a kid, but I remember them, or something like that, to that effect. Not that we have parents we have great in-laws. They're great with the kids. They don't like me. So outside of that, I think that, I don't have advice on that other than, your team is your spouse and your kids, but your support network is your family. And so when at all possible, you should try to keep that support network intact. And if that means sometimes you got to bite your tongue, well, get used to a mouthful of blood. You're married. So that's just what happens. In-laws. Can't live with them, so you don't. Okay, number 8, personal space invasion. First of all, I don't think aliens are out to just get me, okay? I think they're coming for the whole planet. I think if they start individually coming for Jason, Storm Chaser Nelson, we got an issue. They're like,
what
we've
is
been
the
watching.
example they give
They
for
were
that?
like, we saw at Real Jason Nelson on Twitter, and it was dumb, and we're coming for Jason Nelson. And everyone's like, no, wait, just one guy? Which guy? Oh, that's okay. You can take him. Over time, one partner may feel their personal space or time is not being respected. Example, I need some alone time, but you always want to do everything together. Okay, we don't have that problem.
We don't have alone time.
No, I mean the whole codependency.
Right.
We have a cultivated codependency. I like it. Like the things that we choose to do together, I like to do
Oh, yeah,
together.
yeah.
Right? You can disagree. I'm going to use selective listening, but and blame your mom. But it's one of those things where I get that. Some people get married later in life, and if they've been used to one, or even if they're young, like let's say you grew up in a household where you had X amount of space and you're used to it, or what are the things I'm weird about? Food.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like that with you. Like if you reached over and took food from my plate, I would not care at all. I would not look at you and be like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Yeah, but I know better. So if I want something that you have, I will ask you for it, and you can give it to me, and I don't have to
That's not what I'm weird
put
about
my
with
grubby
food.
paws on your food.
That's not what I'm weird about. What I'm weird about is people altering my food in any
Yes.
way. Nothing at all. And so because I've had people mess with, I don't know. Prison rules, food. That's how I am. Arms up, fork, knife. Don't cut spork. I don't know. I don't know what they have in prison.
Tactical spork.
Tactical spork. But I don't know. You're not getting my pudding. No, but no, I mean, that's my thing. You don't touch my food. And I don't mean I share my food. I just mean I have a weird safety issue, I guess. But outside of that, there's not like a whole lot of things that I don't go messing through your stuff. It's weird. It's like one of those things. They don't have this on here, but we don't, all my passwords.
Yeah.
I mean, you should. Something happens, you're going to need to have access to everything. And if you can't access it, my general codes that I would use, but you have the main code to get to the codes, right? Or you use my dead face. I don't know, whatever. Okay. I give you permission to use my my unanimated corpse to
I don't
open
know
up
if
my
I give
iPad.
you that same permission. That's a little creepy. But
No, but I mean, if you
guess.
got to get into the bank account and do stuff, you could just make a wax mold, I guess. I'm not sure how
Ooh,
they do
gross.
it. But paper or plaster of Paris. Just say, why? Just draw some eyes. I need to use this iPhone. But yeah, no, I mean, the one thing I think is weird is when people, I've never once gone through your email. I've never once gone through your text message. I've never once gone through your phone.
Because I'm so interesting and have so many
No, I just
interesting
mean,
conversations.
I don't, beyond the fact that I just don't, I'm not that guy. My thing is that I have access to everything.
Right.
Yeah, but my text messages pop up on the computer because it's all synced. So if I was stupid and an idiot and wanted to waste my beautiful life, you would know about it pretty quick. I'm not that smooth, okay? But I think there is one thing there, and it's the new it's all generations, but it's technology and the ability to. There's a lot of temptation out there, even if it's just people looking at the menu. It's still a lot of temptation, and how that can be interpreted, how that can be. You have to be aware that there's no hidden things. There shouldn't be hidden things in a marriage. And I think being honest with people means being honest with yourself. And if you have to hide something, if there's ever a time that I've always said that I guess, if you were standing over my shoulder and I didn't know it, and the conversation I was having or the situation I was in was one in which I would be like, oh, oops, then I'm not in the right situation, right? So it's really easy to interpret. But then at the same time, I think that if you have to flip away from a page that you're looking at, if you have to, I mean, gift shopping or whatever, but you get my point. If you have to do that on your own time, personal space, find some. But I mean, if you have to, then there's probably something wrong, and that isn't that's a you thing. Yeah, I'll do some self-reflection there. Bathroom habits. Number 9, bathroom habits. Annoyances related to bathroom etiquette, such as leaving the toilet seat up or not replacing the toilet paper. Example, why can't you ever replace the toilet paper roll? First of all, that's a common problem that everybody has, because I've heard a voice ring out throughout the house from every single tone. Yeah. Did someone bring me some toilet paper? From age 4 on up.
To be fair, it's usually because the little dog went in the bathroom and took the toilet paper and ate it.
Sure, but even before that, there's only because you have different things.
That's just our recent problem.
That's our kids. Because we keep, I try to replace the spare roll. And if I forget it, I'm not like, if I go into the bathroom and there's no toilet paper, I don't think, my damn wife, what was she thinking? What wasn't she thinking? Just doing laundry and not replacing toilet paper. Why do I do the dishes? It's probably her mom. No, I mean, I don't. You know what I mean? I don't. Or you said to, and I selectively listened and didn't hear it. No, I mean, it's one. That's not a. I think that our biggest thing about the bathroom is the sink area. There's creep from both sides. Yeah. And I understand why men and women have different bathrooms. I get it now. Like, and I don't mean that as,
Well, right now we have like all of our kids' stuff in there and all the.
Yeah, we had to turn off the water.
For the baby.
Dave, we had to turn off the water in our kids' bathroom in the sink underneath because they play in it so often. And they haven't figured out they can just turn on the bathtub yet.
I know.
Like, I was just waiting for them to one day figure out, wait, there's a bigger.
But it's louder,
pond.
So we'll know if they turn it on. I think that's why.
That's why we get because they could close the bathroom door and get away with just the sink.
Yeah.
We're distracting them with kittens now. That's all it is. But once the kittens are gone, they're going to be back in the water. But no, they. So I don't. I think that because we have their toothpaste and stuff in there now, it feels like clustered inside of our area. But
and they all like different types of toothpaste. So
yeah, but
so much.
I'm a military guy. If I could have a single water closet, that's a toilet for you Americans. I could have a single toilet with a door because I like my privacy, and then a standing shower, and just a simple sink, a pedestal sink with the simple medicine cabinet, and then like one little shaving tray next to it so I can put stuff on it. everything would be back in the same place, and I'd wipe it down every time with the Clorox wipe. Like that's what I was trained to do, and I'm cool with that. So whenever I would go to school, you had to leave or schoolhouses or whatever, you had to leave it the way it was. You couldn't just, you had to leave it clean every time. You're usually sharing a latrine with somebody or a head or whatever you want to call it, and so I think that I got some good bathroom etiquette from that. But at the same time, we have a big confusion in our house because the big dog takes his Mako shark body in there and is all like, I don't want to use the 3 water bowls you have for me. I want this toilet water.
I think it's because it's higher off the ground.
That's
So
the
it's more
theory that I'm
interesting
going to
to
say
him.
out loud. Because I have a grosser theory. But he's, whatever. He just doesn't want to, he's the size of a horse, so he doesn't want to go. So he's like, we have to keep a super clean toilet. But he has to, that's his water bowl. So when he's done, he goes in the middle of the night and drains the toilet water and gets out.
Big slobbery
and there's
mess
slobbery
everywhere.
mess leaving the toilet. And then I'll get that. It was for when we first got the dog. I'd get that shake in the middle of the night and like, did you pee all over the toilet seat? When have I ever peed all over the toilet seat? And I just suddenly
Could be
picked up
just
this
a thing
habit,
you do in
right?
the
Yeah,
middle of the
you're
night.
just like, no, sure. And then we figured out one day it was the dog. We were like, oh, it's the dog drooling on the toilet seat. So it's not my urine, it's dog drool. You should feel better now for sitting in it. And having said that, the whole time you're swearing at me, and really it was the dog. So, so now I know to look. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, man, is she peeing all over the toilet seat? What's going on? Gotta talk to her about this. AIM. I thought girls were better at this. Just saying. So but I didn't bring it up because I'm a gentleman. And now I know it was the dog. I can talk about it. I thought you were just,
You thought that was-
just wildly praying. I didn't know. I didn't want to bring it up. Thought it was awkward if I said something. I was like, listen, you don't need to squat over our own toilet. You know that, right? It's not a gas station. The key didn't come with a
goodness.
tire attached. Anyway, so no, I think we're pretty good. So far, we're good on this list. So the last one is one that is a problem. But it's a problem we've acknowledged, and we're working on it.
Okay.
But I'm going to explain why the problem is actually more complex than it seems. So, number 10 is technology overuse. So what it says is description: one partner's excessive use of smartphones, tablets, or computers can create feelings of neglect or disconnection. Example: you're always on the phone when you're supposed to be spending time together. Now we're going to get into that. But before I do, if you like our program, you should go and visit. No, I'm not embarrassed about needing sponsorship for our
I didn't
show.
say that.
Oh, okay. Then you should go visit prepperbeef.com and use the promo code morning20. That's morning20. Bing. And go there and support our program and take 20% off of food security for your family, because we are entering very uncertain times. And if we didn't care, we wouldn't have the product. That's it. There you go. See? It's easy. Prepperbeef.com. Ding. Okay. Technology overuse. I overuse technology. You overuse technology. The problem is we do everything on our phones. And when I say everything, I do my business on my phone. We handle all medical appointments on my phone. All paperwork is on my phone. All business, all business is on my phone. All my research is on my phone. I do most of my writing on my phone. People, the amount of time I spend on social media would baffle people, because it's not a lot. It's very little. As a matter of fact, my combined usage throughout the day is probably about 25 minutes. That sounds like a lot, but I mean over the entire day. And I really try to communicate and talk back to people. But I'm always asked, why don't you ever repost a lot of what other people say? And it's because I'm not on searching around on stuff.
Right.
Now, I've got a show in the morning that I'm doing, 8 o'clock Eastern time. It's called Morning Post. doing it with real Stephen Friend, but I'm doing that show in the morning, and then so I do some news perusing. But I'm a speed reader, so you'll see me go through like 500 articles in a very short amount of time, and then I go about my day. And then I do business stuff. Then I've got to read cattle reports and chicken reports and all this other stuff, and then I got to deal with stuff, and then I go back. But all of it's on our phone or on this tablet. You know, we don't even use the computer. We use this stuff. You're the same way. Homeschooling stuff. A lot of homeschooling stuff, because not only do you have to find your curriculum, then you have to research curriculum and put together a plan and then produce the plan and then print it, and all of that is different stages. So I'll see you actually move from your phone to your iPad to, whatever. So we have that problem and we've acknowledged it. So what we're trying to do is simultaneously do things when it needs to be done. Like, hey, this is the time. Hey, I need to sit down and look and do work on such and such at this time. And I'm like, great, I need to do this. So it's like reading together. We'll sit in the same room and work on it. We try to tell the kids this is the time Dad's doing work.
Or we'll try to do it when they're outside and they're entertained.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then switch off and do the homeschooling and switch off and do everything else. It's still too much. I've deliberately now, it's summer, so we got to play in the evening with the kids right when it first gets dark. We'll go out and play for an hour. And I'll leave my phone inside. I don't want them to think. You see them look to see if we have our phone sometimes. So we make an effort to show them that we're putting it away. We need to do better. In our marriage, is that a problem? I would say it was at one point, only in the sense that we had to have the discussion about it. Mm-hmm. Like we had to talk about. We had to
bring up that, hey, this is a problem.
Well, just more of, I don't understand. Like, okay, when so I don't have my hearing aids because I lost one and whatever at a Trump rally. And but my hearing aids used to be, and I turned it off, the feature, but they were plugged right into my Bluetooth into my phone. So you wouldn't know if I was listening to music. Definitely.
Yeah, that drove me crazy.
Right. Definitely didn't do that in staff meetings. I knew when they were going to call my name. But that was one of the things you brought up. And so I fixed it because you were right. You're right. I can clearly see when you put in your earbuds. And usually it's because you're listening to a book while doing something else at the same time. And then I don't you'll turn it off if, I want to talk about something. But most of the time my answer is, I'll go back to your book. I didn't know. Sorry. But you couldn't tell that when I was wearing my hearing aids. So it's different. And we did have a conversation about it. And I don't think that's unhealthy. I think it was very healthy. And it took some, why are you could do this here, right? We could do this together. Why are you watching a show on your phone? You did the book thing for me. You got me a book reader because I was reading all my books on a phone. And you said, oh, well, and what you found out was how much I was actually reading versus when I was doing other stuff. And it turned out a lot of it was reading,
right?
Which is not a bad thing. But again, I think our phones have become very utilitarian. And so because of that, I think it's very, you need to have an open conversation. Like, I don't know. You talk about your day. Why wouldn't you talk about what you're doing? And if you're getting sucked into whatever social media, that's not real life.
Right.
Some social media is good. There's a lot of breaking news. There's cool people out there. There's a great way. I have an excellent ex-family. We, have made so many real friends who are watching right now, really. And we're so blessed for that. But it's still not real life.
Right.
And we have connected with a lot of those people in real life. And that's real life. And I even tell them, like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't respond to you that much on this app, but you can reach me via text message or phone. And
or come over for dinner.
Right, exactly. And I think that as long as you're willing to acknowledge that, hey, there's some limitations that need to be put on this. You know what I mean? And have that open conversation and say, you know what? We're not spending enough time doing this. I can see that the kids were trying to do this and we were only giving them half our attention. I regret that. Let's go back and do that over. And you can redo stuff very quickly if you catch it right early. You can't redo stuff 3 years later, but you can redo stuff the next day or 2 hours later, or whenever you realize that, oh, I put this ahead of this and that was a wrong priority, just like anything else. So I can see why it could be a source of frustration, but for us, I think we do pretty good about it. But it is, of all the things on this list, I would say that was the one thing that we...
I am considering getting a dumb phone.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, really, like, I want to make a joke about it, but truthfully, I could see why, because there are times that I know I need to be able to be reached, but I also don't want, to feel strapped to all the other work that comes with it. Because every time an email comes in, I feel like I have to answer it right away. Every time a text message comes in.
Whereas you can set down time where you open up your iPad or computer and answer emails.
Right. And we're working on that. It's already started to actually reset it because we have a new baby coming. And so we want to have a schedule that works because we know that there's going to be disruption. We don't want our other children to have that disruption affect their lives entirely. So it's like, hey, I've got to jump on a rigid schedule. That'll be my contribution for a while until you can get back into the schedule and we can work it together. But we definitely can't sit here and allow this stuff to control everything. So, but like I said, when I say we have that problem, it's not something that's killing us. It's just something that, of all the things, we have had that conversation. So, yeah, good job. 1 out of 10, and we beat it.
2.
2 out of 10. Sorry about your mom.
It wasn't that one.
And the show's over.
Former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV store, a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.